Hello and welcome to another episode of Expat Episodes here at the Ostrava Expat Center. And today, from Mexico, we have Oswaldo Osorio, yes?
Yeah.
All right, I'll keep it that because, you've told me before the much longer, especially Mexican version of all the names.
Yes, the Carlos Oswaldo Osorio Cano.
Okay, there's the full thing. Let's go with that.
Before to start to dancing professionally, I was studying architecture. So they need a dancer. And I was like, oh, nice, but I am now 47. Mm-hmm. No, 47, no, 43. As Latinos, like, let's try it. Never give up on this. So now we are preparing the new show, the musical Hello Dolly. Now I am living one of my dreams.
Do you speak Czech?
Trochu.
Trochu.
The first time when I saw the snow was here. Mm-hmm. And obviously,
really?
I was like a kid, obviously.
Okay.
I was spending hours. So visiting the castles, visiting the museums, see how a lot of history has here.
This is Expat Episodes, when news stories begin. I'm Ian, your host, and I'll be guiding you through the stories of expats in the Czech Republic.
We're getting to South America a lot lately. We've had a few other guests recently, but not from Mexico yet. So this is the first. So it'd be very nice to hear about where are you from exactly in Mexico?
Well, I born in Orizaba, Veracruz. Mm-hmm. Orizaba, Veracruz, what is the Gulf of Mexico? Mm-hmm. I was living there around 18, 19 years because I liked a lot to dance. Mm-hmm. So I have opportunity to study and move to Monterrey, more to the north. Mm-hmm. So obviously I moved to Monterrey and I have been there like 18, 19 years before to came here. So in my case also I feel that I am part of this because half of my life in Mexico was Veracruz and Monterrey. Mm-hmm. So in this case I call myself like Jarocho Montano. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Jarochos, we calling the people from Veracruz, mm-hmm. and Regios or Regiomontanos from Monterrey. So I split it and I combine. So I am.
So you gave yourself this kind of mix of.
Yeah, so I am Jarocho Montano. So obviously I born in Veracruz, but also I feel part of Monterrey. So.
Now you said you were in Veracruz till you were like 18, 19?
18, 19 years.
And when did you start? We'll go into what you do here in a bit, but you said you started dancing and doing like choreography or things like this. Did you start like from a young age in Veracruz and then go to Monterrey for this or what? How did this start? How did you get into this profession, which again, we'll talk at length later?
No, the thing is like, many things comes from culture or the habits, tradition that we have in the family. In my case, my parents' family, they are so kind of party people. So, birthday, New Year, Christmas, or so on. Always is like celebrating, drinking or something, but also is to put music and dance in the family or something. So I always like to dance because, it's something like make me feel like free. And in Mexico, we have something that we call in quinceañeras. When it's supposed that when the girl start to get 15 years old, have the transitions from girl to women. So they have a big party.
Oh, I've seen some of these really big parties. It's amazing.
In this case, the girls have some kind of ceremonial or dance with 4, 6, or depending, we call in chambelanes. Chambelanes, I don't know how to say this, like guards or something, guys in the smoking or something dancing, so balls and so on. Since there, my mother invited me to one woman random, like, we need a dancer. My son likes to dance. Go. Okay. But I like it after I started to not only dancing, also to choreographing and dancing this, and started to receive income a little, but this. So after people to see us dancing, there was like, in that time, there was no dance studios like have guys. So sometimes they have some recitals or shows that they require people, in this case, boys.
But were you studying this was there a school you were studying this, or was this just with family?
Yes, it was totally like
okay, all right.
separate. I was studying also. I can say like before to start to dancing professionally, I was studying architecture. So I have something like totally
Completely
random.
different.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, the thing is like the people starting to call us not only for to the parties, the 15 years also for to they have the performance in jazz ballet, but instead of pay us in cash or something, it's like okay, I offered you taking class, be more interested about ballet, about jazz, and I started to like me this, and I met one uh, director that thanks for her I am here because I have three main teachers that helping me about. Erasto Gomez Santa Rosas, who introduced me to the dance, and after for to get more in jazz and salsa, Maria Elena Slame, and the third and the last one, Marta Sagún, because she had say, do you like to dance this? Move to Monterrey. There is a professional way. You want to make a living, you want to do the profession, do this. That's why I moved to Monterrey.
Okay.
And the rest is history.
And how was, you said about another 18, 19 years in Monterrey?
Yeah, well, basically, I moved to Monterrey because I started to study ballet, classical ballet, especially planned for guys. And after, well, I like it, and I started to work in there, studying and dancing. I was in Ballet Monterrey, like guest, not properly like part of this. And also after I create my dance studio, then still is working under now the direction of Marcela Sanchez, Besote. Well, in this case, I like it there because as big city, big jump, I have the opportunity also for to dance with artists in some concerts, in some, well, more open, more professional way. So that's why I was like, how to say, giving these kind of opportunities more in my life. And obviously, better for me was better than Mexico City. Many people can say like it's opposite, but for me, I like it more like that. That's why.
Okay. Now, if you had already started your own dance studio, you said, in Monterrey, and you were already there coming on like 40 years almost, 35 years, let's say, between everything. Why did you decide to change, and how did you get here to Ostrava or Czech Republic? Let's go. How did this come about of you making from Monterrey to here, even having your own studio?
Well, it's a quite big story. I will resume. In that time, I had a friend who was living here, so we get the opportunity to came here like holidays or so on.
Okay, so you got to visit first.
Yes. Yeah. And there I met the one girl, and we keep in touch and so on. So for resume and everything like that, the thing is like I came here for one girl because this girl was with me in Mexico.
Okay.
We have a good relationship and everything like that. So we get how to say, a life together and so on. Unfortunately, no continue, but that's why I come here because we were together, we were living together or something. COVID time, COVID time make many things like messy.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, I didn't decide to return to Mexico because obviously I make my dance studio, I sold another thing. So for me, it's like if I will start from zero again to Mexico to be here, it's better here. I decided to have my life here. And it was quite, how to say, challenging because when I come here, my first job was like, obviously, before to enter to have a job, okay, the kebab store or something, But now, like properly and official like this, I was working like project coordinator. My English. Coordinator.
Yeah, one of those.
No, I was working in Oaking.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was quite challenging because, I never had been working in an office. So being the computer or so on was quite challenging, but I enjoyed or something. COVID time, blah, 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 blah. So it was quite hard. So also I was working for a I don't know how to say this in English. I don't know it's correctly under constructions. For make building something. I was working this for a Spanish company. So as I say, my kind of lifestyle was quite hard here in the first years because obviously it's not something that I used to do, but nothing that is no hard to do it, but you can learn it and get to. But after I get some kind of friendships and friends, like we can keep in touch because also I have friends who have like dance studios, create like the typical, how to say, dance competitions. They know that I am dancer because obviously in the social media I'm sharing my content like dancer, this, choreos and so on. So it's like, Osvaldo, can you be some kind of adjudicator in one of these? Okay. So in this case, I met one guy that I didn't know too much because he doesn't speak English. I not too much Czech in that time, so blah, blah. Perfect, nothing happens, good. And after I was looking for another job because unfortunately in that place there was some issues, not with me, the issues the company because was something with, was a Spanish company and something, foreigner things that in my case I don't want to get in deep because I didn't understand well. So they need a dancer. And I was like, oh, nice, but I am now 47. No, 47, no, 43. I look the same, so
Yeah, I never know how old we are. It's right.
so for me it was like nice, but my body is still not in get for this, but as Latinos, like, let's try it. Never give up for this. So, and the thing was that yes, they need a dancer, but well, my age, is ballet. Yes, I was studying ballet, but it's not the same as I say, 20s and 40s, the conditions, so on. It doesn't matter. They explain me, and now I can say like now I am living one of my, how to say, one of my dreams because basically I am still dancing ballet as per when I thought that I couldn't do it after a long period, and also uh, having my, I can say like in good condition. And the only thing I can say is like the language sometimes is a problem, but in ballet or in another kinds of dancing is not requiring the idiom because it's like doing this and this, body communications, something like that. So now I am dancing in Slezské Opava Theater. I am the dance corp on this group. And I had been there, I will be 5 years. And yes, now I can say like I'm enjoying a lot of, and I have a lot of opportunities to do, for example, in this Christmas, I had been like choreographer and director of the Nutcracker show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to have something typical for winter, Nutcracker, how would you describe like the difference between like doing dance in Mexico or Latino and stuff, and then coming over here because, as you already admitted, you're going, oh, I'm older, nobody's going to want that, and then they do, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, no problem. So what other differences have you found? Like,
Good question. Quite hard to reply because also I think that I'm still making my question myself. Now I can say like, well, it's two words, because the first I am thinking is first, the culture. The culture is quite, different, opposite, because we as Latinos, we always are making this, no improvisation, but, you find a way, or in short ways, I don't want to sound like this, but many people say like, Latino, you have in your blood, you have the talent because you can dance this and this, and sometimes but it's not true because I see a lot of talent people here in Europe or also in Asia dancing salsa, Latin things that they looks like they born there. So I think that for me the difference about this is the discipline. The disciplines make the difference because here, as per I have seen, for example, the Latin American, or as we say, the ballroom, they starting to learning more like how to say once and once and once and continue and once and continue. It doesn't matter how hard or doesn't. You need to continue until you get it. You get it? Okay, continue in perfection, continue in perfection. And because I am saying under my perspective, okay? Maybe people say me like, no, Osvaldo, you're crazy or something. I'm sorry, this is how I see it. When we see like, okay, let's try to doing this. I do it. It wasn't hard. Okay, 2, 3 times, I get it. That's all. So I have not to continue doing this. Obviously, I don't say that in my case I was doing like that, but I try to generalize a little under my perspective of people who I met and so on. Obviously, I was working in some kind of things. I think if I could be more disciplined or doing more picky, I could be maybe dancing better or be in another place. But however, I'm not complaining. Now I'm super happy and doing this. But returning to your question, I think the discipline make a lot of the difference, because sometimes we are thinking that it's not necessary to do something when it's easy for us for to practice and not. The discipline is really, really important. When you combine with another things that create to develop a lot of skills that sometimes you never know that you can do it.
Continuing that with the cultural differences, how have you found it here to settle in and get by with the Czech? Do you speak Czech?
Trochu.
Un poquito.
Sí.
So, yeah, what are the kind of differences? Like, there's got to be something with, the food, the cultures. Are you from like a religious family as well?
Well, about traditions, you say?
Yeah, like traditions and stuff?
It's quite interesting question because, for example, from my mother's side, we can say like, many people, we can say, I am proud 100% Mexican. Yes.
Yeah.
In my case, obviously the same, but I can say that also from my mother's side, the family is people who live in the forest, because there are some kind of, I don't know how to say this, people, but basically not only speak Spanish, also speak this dialect typical from Mexico, a lot of dialects that Mexico has, Nahuatl. So obviously, the food, the life of there, I never have been living with them, only visiting, but it's quite different. So in this case, for me, about food and so on, it's totally different, obviously. First, because here is quite expensive to get the kind of, very easy, tortillas. In Mexico, you buy, we can take in for Czech crowns, 20 Czech crowns, you have a kilo. Here,
yeah, maybe 4 or 6 in a pack.
12 if you go to the supermarket for 40 crowns. If you want a kilo, you pay like, I don't know how many euros, we can say like for 200. So basically now something like typical, you are taking like tortillas, like, oh, I enjoy a lot of it because now. But the most important that I can say, like, when I come here, I make this idea because obviously it's not the same when you are moving to some city for holidays. Obviously everything is nice, but when you are moving to live there, obviously the perspective changed a lot of.
Yeah.
In my case, when I did take the decision to come here, I made the idea that it will be really, really hard, really messy, really things. Not the place, my life. Why? Culture, language, food. And why I made this? Because if I create this scenario, when something bad happens, I will prepare for that.
Okay.
So in my case, I don't say like, I'm pessimist and I come. No. I was trying to be realistic because, as I said, the food will be not the same. Obviously, I was so really, how to say, criticized, or I don't know how to say this word, because typically in Mexico, or my family, we have the chicken soup, lime,
Yeah.
spice, and everybody's like, I am eating like this, sorry. You will eat it? No. So
It is mine now.
So this kind of things obviously is kind of no good seen in everybody. So that's why for me it was like, okay, I will have to struggle with these things And now for me, I can say like I love the Czech food. I have no problem for to not eat my food because basically, also my mother told me like improvise with your food. I want lasagna, but you don't have this. Try to do this, but
Make it
So-
with what ingredients you have.
yeah, that's why I return to your question. It's like for me, I prepare a lot of mentality that this scenario school will be happen in worse, in good or bad, depending, but not always as I want. And this helping me a lot of because I couldn't know like, oh my God, I don't know what I went doing, the weather, the language.
Yeah, that's when you walked in, we immediately talked about the weather. So has that been another big one for you? I mean, you don't get this kind of weather in Mexico and stuff like that. So
It's quite hard for to say that because Mexico is quite big, and obviously, like every countries, I think, it's not the same kind of weather that is in the south than in the north.
of course.
In the place where I was living, it was cold, yes, but no snow. I remember one day was like, oh, there was -3, so the schools closed because cannot be people. And the people was like, okay, no go to school. But after in the news appears like, no, in the mountains appears a little snow. Everybody goes, ah. Obviously it was frozen and everybody doing, it's snow.
Like,
So
look at this.
in this case, for me, the first time when I saw the snow was here. And obviously
Really?
I was like
Yeah,
kid,
yeah,
obviously.
okay.
I was spending hours. I remember my ex-girlfriend was watching like, really, you never see? It's like, no, I was watching the snow and I was like really wonder. And I started to see the snowflake. It's like, wow, and another. So obviously now after almost 8 years for me starting to be, well, this year not because it was quite cold.
It's been a long winter this year.
Yes, and more when I usually moving not by my own transport. I have to take bus, tramway, train. You need to move in, you need to walk in, and obviously it's not the same when it's this first 2 weeks. The Christmas. And after this February, like now, it's like, no, yeah.
Yeah.
The bus. Or sometimes it's freezing and you cannot walk and it's falling down. It's like, the snow, that's nice, yeah.
And then you get this wonderful clash, like, last week it was 10 degrees and now, last night -10. So a good clash of cultures. As a personal thing, I'm from the south of the US, so I wouldn't say we've got similar cultures, but we've got some of the similar food items and things like that. For me, hot sauce, chili peppers, things like that. Are you a fan of like spicy foods and stuff? Because I need to find a place where I can get more of it.
Yeah, well, of course I am.
Okay.
My family is like, we don't have this. That's why sometimes I think that the lime helping me because my mother used to cook spicy. So, it's spicy. Okay, put sugar, put lime, because I will not cook something like that. In my case, yes, I love it. Sometimes it's quite hard because you find a small sauce bottle, very expensive, so improvise. You create yourself or something. But as I said, I starting to find out when I have the opportunity to have the things where I like, nice. If not problem. I can find another things or nothing happens if I cannot. Because the spicy obviously is something like I love it, but also I can have it, okay, no problem. Also there are another kind of spicy that I don't use.
Yeah.
Like, rachata is sriracha. Sriracha.
Sriracha.
Rachata is tomato. Yeah, so now I make my mix or chipotle with mayonnaise or something. At least I starting to make my kind of conjures for to I have my special things because this is how I am trying to live in improvising, I can say, and adapting myself.
And something I usually like to ask and maybe give other people your recommendations. What do you like to do around, besides dancing and such? What do you like to do around the Czech Republic? Have you been able to travel around the country much? Have you seen a lot? Do you go hiking or skiing or learned how to ski or something?
Well, I know that here the people, obviously, winter place is quite usually normal to have some kind of ski, snowboarding or something. I have opportunity to try. My first and last. Yes, because also I remember that I was like 2 weeks cannot sit because I doing snowboard, and obviously my butt was hurting a lot of. Also,
I would think you would have been better on your feet than like me. I'm terrible with it. My snowboard experience was 2 minutes on my ass, 2 minutes on my ass.
2 minutes. Me, I was 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
So
I feel
up.
so much better now.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, no. In my case, was 30 seconds. I had my camera. Cheers. Boom. And after that, one friend, like, also who told me to snowboard was one friend, Patrick Samoyski. Like, greetings. He was like, look, bro, we are both up. You only step. This is for to this and this and this. You can do both and this. Okay. See you down. How is this? How he say? And he goes like, no, that's why I know. So in this case, returning to your topic, I like also Czech Republic because my perspective is the belly button of Europe.
I've never heard it called that, but that's good. Yeah.
For me, it's the belly button of Europe. So a lot of conservative things has. For example, for me, this is more medieval place. I can say sorry, because the castles. Now, one of my brothers came for holidays and visit me. Basically, with him, I visit more things than usually me alone. So visit the castles, visit the museums, see how a lot of history has here.
Yeah.
And many of these histories part of the global, the World War. Also, I can say perdón, sorry.
We can cut it, don't worry.
The chili. The theater where I am dancing have a lot of history because in the past was, I don't know how to explain it, but Nazis was there. Maybe it was some kind of cartel or something, but the Nazis were there. It's not something like proud, but it's something history. And it's something like, wow. Obviously, many things here in Czech have history and very things like, for example, the minescapes or mines or carbon mines. That for me is quite, see the Emajora, how it's falling like that. Yeah. We have something similar in Monterrey, like for example, Dolny Vitkovice. We have like Parque Fundidora. Obviously, both have almost the same because it's about moldy, melting things, but in this case, more for carbon. For us, was more iron. Lisa Hora, I like. In winter, I think is the most better thing to do because obviously you exercise, seeing people without t-shirt going and you're frozen -15 and you see like, see the sunrise or the sunset there is the most gratifying things. There are many things. I think that depending about what you want, depending about what exactly are you looking for, you can get it. For me, I want to see more castles, for example, the Castle de Castellnie, because also in our theater we have the Nosna Castellnie, like Czech musical, to understand more, because sometimes dancing, just because dancing is nice, but sometimes to understand for which reason, everything have a why, a because. It's not only because you're moving, looks nice and that's all. So,
and a last question on this is, what have you got coming up with the dance theater now? So if you want to do any promotion, go right ahead. What's going on next?
I wasn't prepared, but
put on the costume and start dancing.
No, well, we have the last 2 shows of Nutcracker that I was the choreographer and the director. So also I am really bad to do announcements because I don't remember the dates. But I know that there will be one in 20th of February and another in March. But the thing that I want to say that now we are preparing the new show, the musical Hello Dolly. The premiere will be the 1st of March. You will see here down.
We'll find it down below in the links. Don't worry. We'll find somewhere to put it.
Yes, now we are preparing this. And our theater is something that I like, and this is the experience that I want to make some parentheses, because it's not something like, for example, in Mexico, when I was dancing, it's like, okay, you know, the autumn season, the Christmas season, there always was the Nutcracker, and the spring season. Only this. During those times, only is preparing and training or something like that. But in this theater, we are doing also operas, operettas, musicals, ballet, Chinora is like acting. I don't know. Chinora is more like acting only without music or so on. We are not doing this, but sometimes they invite us. So every day we have something different. In the morning we have training, rehearsal for something, but in the show we have like the Jeji Pastorquiña, something, a typical Czech. So these kind of things, always we have a lot of shows that sometimes we need to learn about 10 or 15 shows difference.
Of course.
And working like that. So returning to this, Hello Dolly, we have the musical Opava theater, or Slezské divadlo Opava, Hello Dolly, budeme mít hezký show a to je všechno. Tak proto já nemluvím češtině, protože můj čeština je super špatná.
Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it and all the information. And yeah, I'll have to come out and see it. I really love going to Opava. The center is a beautiful place. Thank you so much for watching, and get in touch with us if you too have a story here at the Ostrava Expat Center.
Adios.
This podcast is proudly brought to you by Ostrava Expat Center.